A massive storm train is locking onto the United States right now, and what's coming over the next 7 days is going to affect tens of millions of people from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the Atlantic coast. We're not talking about one storm, we're talking about multiple rounds of winter weather slamming back to back, bringing heavy snow, dangerous ice, and then flipping the script entirely with a severe weather outbreak that could produce damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. Winter and spring are about to collide in the most violent way possible, and you need to know exactly what's heading your way. Right now, as we look at the current setup across the country, things are deceptively calm. There's a high-pressure system parked over the northern plains, and a modest little band of snow stretching from South Dakota back through southern Michigan. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming. The kind of day where you might look outside and think winter is winding down. But that quiet is about to shatter, because lurking just beyond the Rockies is a surge of moisture that's going to kick off the first in a series of winter weather events, and it could arrive as soon as tomorrow night. Here's where it gets complicated. This first system rolling in has a lot of uncertainty attached to it, which is unusual for something only 24 to 48 hours away. The big question mark is precipitation type. We know moisture is coming, we know cold air is in place, but the exact positioning of that freezing line, the boundary that determines whether you get snow, freezing rain, or just plain rain, is still wobbling back and forth between the models. And that wobble makes all the difference in the world if you're trying to figure out whether your commute Monday morning is going to be slightly annoying or genuinely dangerous. The GFS model has been the most aggressive player on the board so far, painting a scenario where a significant band of heavy snowfall develops late tomorrow night and rolls into early Monday across northern Missouri, clipping St. Louis, pushing into Illinois. South of that snow band, it's projecting a freezing rain corridor setting up somewhere near Kansas City and stretching back toward Kentucky. If that verifies, you've got a real mess on your hands. Freezing rain is arguably the most dangerous form of winter precipitation because it looks harmless until you step on it or try to drive on it. A thin glaze of ice on a road surface can turn a normal highway into a skating rink in minutes. But here's the thing, this forecast is genuinely tricky. The European model, which is often considered the more reliable of the two major global models, is showing something far less impressive. We're talking about a coating to maybe an inch of snow in some spots, and not much else. That's a massive gap between the two models for an event this close in time. So what does that mean for you? It means if you live anywhere in the Central Plains, the Midwest, or even back toward the East Coast, you should not let your guard down. Keep your phone notifications on, check your local National Weather Service office, because this thing could quietly uptrend at the last second, or it could fizzle into almost nothing. Either outcome is genuinely on the table right now. What I do have more confidence in is what happens after that first system passes through. As we push into Tuesday, a second and potentially more impactful winter weather event looks like it's going to target the Northeast. This one has better model agreement and a clearer signal. We're looking at a combination of ice and snow spreading across Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, and up into New York. Now, before anyone starts having flashbacks to that historic nor'easter that buried the region just a week ago, let me be clear. This is not that. This is a significantly smaller event. We're talking about snowfall totals in the range of 3 to 6 inches across parts of New England, with ice accumulation mostly staying under 1/4 of an inch. That said, even modest ice accumulation can cause real problems. 1/4 inch of ice on power lines and tree branches is enough to start snapping things. A light glaze on untreated roads and bridges can send cars sliding into ditches. And if you're in an area that's still dealing with massive snow piles from the blizzard last week, adding even a few more inches on top of that creates additional headaches for snow removal crews and anyone trying to navigate already narrowed streets. So, New England, you're not done with winter yet. Not by a long shot. Now, the ice threat extends across a pretty broad area when you look at the full picture. From late tomorrow night through early Wednesday, there's potential for at least some ice accumulation stretching from Kansas City and St. Louis in the first wave, and then from North Carolina all the way up through New England in the second wave. None of this is currently expected to reach ice storm criteria, which would require a quarter-inch or more of ice accumulation over a widespread area. The freezing rain should generally be light, but even light freezing rain creates slick spots on roadways and can trigger isolated power outages. It's the kind of hazard that doesn't make national news, but absolutely ruins someone's day when their car slides through an intersection or their power flickers off at 2 in the morning. And just when you think winter has thrown everything it has at us, the atmosphere is going to completely flip the script. By Wednesday, March 5th, the Storm Prediction Center has already issued a Day 5 slight risk for severe weather across parts of the southern plains and the deep south. That's significant. A slight risk at Day 5 means there's enough signal in the data that forecasters are already flagging it as a legitimate threat worth paying attention to. The setup is textbook spring severe weather. A strong low-pressure system is expected to develop across the Great Lakes and the Midwest, and on its south side, warm, moist air streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico is going to slam headfirst into a plunging cold front. That collision zone, stretching from around Dallas-Fort Worth through southeastern Oklahoma, near Texarkana, and up toward Little Rock, is where the atmosphere could become explosively unstable. We're talking about the potential for scattered severe thunderstorms capable of producing damaging straight-line winds, large hail, and yes, possibly a few tornadoes. March, severe weather is nothing to take lightly. Tornado season doesn't wait for a calendar date. It follows the energy, and the energy is going to be there. If you have plans on Wednesday, March 5th, anywhere in that corridor, you need to be weather aware. Keep an eye on the sky, have a way to receive warnings, know where your safe spot is. And if conditions do ramp up significantly, you can bet there will be live coverage breaking it all down in real time. Now, here's where the bigger picture gets really interesting. Beyond these individual events, the overall weather pattern heading into the first and second weeks of March is shaping up to be incredibly active across nearly the entire country. We're expecting wave after wave of storm systems to roll over the Rockies, push through the Great Plains and the Ohio Valley, and march right on through to the East Coast. The storm train isn't just a catchy phrase, it's literally what the models are showing. System after system lined up like cars on a freight train, each one bringing its own round of precipitation and potential severe weather. For most of the country, the bulk of this activity is going to fall as rain. We're moving into that transition period where the atmosphere has enough warmth and moisture to generate widespread showers and thunderstorms rather than snow. Flooding is going to become an increasing concern, especially during the second week of March, as repeated rounds of rain fall on the same areas. Rivers and streams that are already running high from snowmelt could be pushed to their limits. Urban flooding in areas with poor drainage is also something to watch for as these storms pile up. That said, if you're in the northern tier of the country, winter isn't quite ready to release its grip. There's still potential for snow and freezing rain to accompany some of these systems, particularly across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and northern New England. The atmosphere is going to be in a constant tug-of-war between lingering winter cold and surging spring warmth, and that boundary is where the most interesting and dangerous weather tends to set up. Speaking of warmth, temperatures are about to do something dramatic. An Arctic blast is expected to push into the Midwest and Northeast early next week, dropping temperatures well below average for a couple of days. But right behind it, a massive warm surge is going to flood back in. By the middle of next week, temperatures across the Great Plains, the Ohio Valley, and the East Coast could be approaching record-breaking territory. We're talking 60s and 70s pushing into areas that should be in the 40s this time of year. Along the Gulf Coast, highs could soar into the 80s and 90s. South Texas already saw temperatures crack into the low 100s just a couple of days ago, with several records broken. This kind of temperature whiplash is becoming a hallmark of our modern weather patterns. You go from needing a heavy winter coat to wanting shorts and a t-shirt within the span of 72 hours. And while the warm days feel great after a long winter, they're also fuel for severe weather. Warm, moist air is rocket fuel for thunderstorms, and when it slams into cold air on the other side of a front, the results can be explosive. Looking at the broader temperature outlook from roughly March 5th through March 9th, the eastern two-thirds of the country is expected to run well above average. The East Coast in particular could see some of the most anomalous warmth, with temperatures running 15 to 20 degrees above where they should be for early March. The only exception to this warm pattern is the Pacific Northwest, where below-average temperatures are expected to try to make a comeback. Precipitation trends support everything we've been talking about. Above-average rainfall is highly likely across a huge portion of the country during the first 2 weeks of March. The storm train is going to keep delivering moisture, and with temperatures warming up, the atmosphere is going to be able to hold and release more water with each passing system. This is the kind of pattern that can lead to significant flooding if it persists, and right now, the models suggest it's going to stick around for a while. So let's bring it all together. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, a winter weather event of uncertain magnitude will impact the Central Plains and Midwest with snow and freezing rain. The models disagree significantly on how much precipitation we're talking about, so stay alert and don't get complacent. By Tuesday and Wednesday, a second system brings a more confident round of snow and ice to the northeast, with 3 to 6 inches of snow possible in New England and light ice accumulation across a broad area. Wednesday also marks the beginning of a severe weather threat across the southern plains and deep south, with damaging winds, hail, and possible tornadoes on the table. And then beyond that, the first 2 weeks of March look incredibly active with multiple storm systems, above-average warmth, heavy rain, and the growing potential for flooding and additional severe weather. Winter is making its last stand, while spring is already kicking the door open. The next 7 to 10 days are going to demand your attention no matter where you live in this country. Stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay safe. Thanks for watching. If this breakdown helped you understand what's coming, hit that like button and drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from and what kind of weather you're bracing for. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to tap that bell icon so you get notified the moment we post our next update. We'll be back with another forecast very soon, and if severe weather ramps up, we'll be here live breaking it all down. See you in the next one. Stay weather aware out there.